Hello, magical ones. Welcome to the Fairy Stitch vlog. I'm Fairy, and today we are going to do a little special garden-related episode. So welcome to the podcast. If you're brand new to the channel, I welcome you just as if you were a returning viewer. And if you're new, you might be wondering, what do we normally do around here? Well, we usually talk about fairies, fairyology. There might be some cats related stuff. There's usually knitting and artwork related. There's sometimes books. There's sometimes poetry, little baking, little gardening. You never know what you're going to get or when you're going to get it. So we're going to kind of surprise you a little bit today. So let's sprinkle a little fairy dust and see what I can conjure up. So today we are going to do a little gardening episode. I'm going to talk about one of my, well, I can't say it's one of my favorite flowers, but it's definitely one that I've had an interest in quite some time, and I never really did any research about it. Long time ago, I kind of looked things up, and it turns out I have one book, and I never really got around to reading it, so I did that recently. And I thought, you know what, let's just do an episode. So, all of you who've seen episodes, you know I prefer sunflowers. They're my number one, and roses, but sunflowers are number one. And I do grow them half of the year. But now that we are no longer in spring or summer, we are going into winter. I can't do my sunflowers right now, not until next March or April. So we're back to no planting for a while, but I can talk about it. So I'm going to talk about the Jack in the Pulpit. And what I'm going to do here is show you some artwork. This is a piece of artwork I did in my journal, and I'm going to go ahead and show that to you. So this is the Jack in the Pulpit. I hope you can see because I can't see my camera. There you go. And so the Jack in the Pulpit is just a really fascinating plant to me. And I just thought, you know what, let's talk about it. So I have notes here because there was a lot. So the Jack in the Pulpit is also called the bog onion, the brown dragon, or an Indian turnip. And the Native Americans, they found out or figured out a way to use the flower's corms, or what they call the buds, for food, even though the buds actually, the plant can actually sting the mouth, and it causes major health issues. So usually it's not advisable to eat, or not even to touch. We'll get into that. But they would boil them at least 3 or 4 times, and change the water and boil them and boil them and boil them. Then they would dry them out and ground them into a flour. So that is why they're sometimes called the Indian turnip. Now, Jack in the Pulpits are actually North American wildflowers. They're found most of the time in wooded areas with light shade. So they need a lot of moisture, and they need mostly shade with a little bit of sun. It's a perennial, so it will continue to grow and grow, and actually can live for 25 years, which is pretty good. But the thing is, it's one of those where it teaches you patience, because it takes 4 years from the seed stage, the seed planting stage, to actually growing enough that it could produce its first flower. That's kind of interesting. So that definitely teaches you to, stay diligent and be patient if you were to actually grow one yourself. It can grow to be about 3 feet high. And it has that fleshy hood, which is what they call the pulpit. And I have my book here. I can show you this picture. And so the pulpit is the hood here. The jack is the center spike. And then it's got this beautiful with the veins and then the stem. So it has that, and that's where they call it the pulpit, because it kind of, towers and protects everything. And of course, like I say, the jack is the spike. So it has little flowers on its spadix, which is protected by the pulpit, which can be either green, as I showed you in that picture, or in my picture, I went ahead and I did the purple. So it can be either purple, kind of like what I did here, or it could be, a green, or even like a yellowy green. But it can be pretty much those three colors. Now, sometimes that hood, that pulpit, can, instead of going over, which always reminds me kind of like a snake when it goes over, it can actually kind of stand up more straight, and so then it looks like a fancy headdress on the back of a dress or a costume or something, but it can actually kind of stay up. So it kind of depends on the flower and how it's growing, I think. But yeah, it's cool how it does that. So they rely on little insects. I mean, these insects supposedly are so tiny. They're like little gnats, or they might be called thrips. And they're so tiny that even with a scientific machinery, you might not be able to see them. But the plant relies on them for pollination, to eat the pollen. And the bugs are attracted to the plant by the odor. It sends the odor off. But it also can be the color, because in the summer, the jack-in-the-pulpits can grow red berries. And the berries, are kind of vibrant color. So they could be partly that too. It could be that the color's drawing the plant, or drawing the insects, as well as the odor to it. And the red berries are very attractive to rodents and to birds, maybe even bigger animals like a deer, perhaps, if it's out there in the woods. But so I guess it's okay for the animals to eat the berries, but for us to try to even handle the plant, that could be a major problem. So if you see a jack-in-the-pulpit, don't handle it. Don't pluck the berries. Because the jacks-in-the-pulpits can actually be either mildly or very toxic. Due to the calcium oxalate crystals that are in it, or on it. If dogs were to eat this plant, it causes excessive drooling. And if we were to eat it, we could get completely swelled up. It will, the mouth, the throat, the lips, all that's going to be burning, tingling, and you swell up. So again, not good. So you don't want to eat this plant or the berries. And never handle it without gloves on, because it's, like I say, it's just naturally toxic. It's just the way it is. It's got this major protection and defense mechanism. So, and another thing too, which was really interesting, is it has like the 3 little leaflets that make the entire leaf. And I've seen a couple of pictures, and I'm not kidding. The jack-in-the-pulpit leaf is the same size, the same shape, has the same kind of cut-out ridges on the leaf, as does poison oak. The only difference was the coloring, because the pictures I was looking at is in contrast. The jack-in-the-pulpit was much greener, and at least I think it was. I think it was the jacks were more of a yellow green. It was more of a yellow green in that photo, and the poison oak was more like a green brown, kind of. But otherwise, they looked almost exactly the same. And so again, you don't want to handle either one of these things, because poison oak ain't good for you, and jack-in-the-pulpits aren't good for you either. So yeah. It was, but they almost matched. I thought, oh, it's the same plant, and it's not. But it's like, okay, gotta watch out for that. But I will tell you this, if you're going to plant this thing and start growing a jack-in-the-pulpit from the beginning, again, protective gear, wear stuff over your eyes, wear gloves. Do not handle your face or your skin while you're working with the plant. Make sure that you clean up, take the gloves off, clean up really good before you start, doing whatever you're going to do. But as long as you're having contact with the plant, always be protected. Because like I say, it's just, it's mainly if you're going to eat it. I didn't see anything really that said that if you were going to, that it would cause skin irritations or anything, but it could, because like I say, in one of the sources I read, it did say never handle without gloves. So it just goes for, without saying, common sense, stay protected, stay covered, and then you can, do what you need to do once you're done. Okay, but if you're going to plant this thing from the beginning, there's 3 different ways you can do it. First of all, you need to plant them in a moist, semi-shaded area. So you could either scatter a handful of its red berries on the surface of the soil and let it germinate and do its own thing in its natural time. Second option is you can remove the seeds from the plant, press each into the ground about an inch or 2, and again, let it do its thing. It's going to take quite a while. And then the other option is you could plant the seeds in flower pots, but you got to keep everything indoors. And again, if it's going to be indoors, you need it in a greenhouse, or you need it in like a little window box greenhouse. But it's got to be away from your children, away from pets. You don't want anybody to handle it. You've got to be very, very careful that nobody eats it, touches it, whatever. That you deal with it on your own, stay protected and covered. But you want to keep the rest of your home and family inhabitants safe. Okay, so then once it's been in your home, and it's got to be in the greenhouse or indoors for a couple years. Like I said, this plant is not a rusher. This one takes forever to do what it's going to do. So you want to be able to keep it indoors, keep it safe, and you keep an eye on it, and you water it and take care of it. And then after, I think it said 2 or 3 years, then you can transplant outdoors. So you take your flower pot out there. It's been established. It's starting to maybe sprout. It's, you can see the visual. So then you take it outside and you plant it. Again, got to be moist and kind of a shaded area. And it gives it a better chance for it to grow on its own and take over and be strong. You don't water this plant in the winter once it gets established, because during the winter it goes dormant. So it's one of those where it's going to trick you. You might think, oh, it's dead, it died, it didn't make it, because there's nothing happening. But actually, that might be what it looks like on the surface, but underneath in the ground and the soil, it's rejuvenating and it's rebuilding. It's it's growing back again. And so then hopefully during the start of spring, and you'll start seeing the sprouts coming up again. So if it looks like it's dead, just hang on, because again, like I say, this plant will take its time to do everything. So give it a chance, keep an eye on it. I would say if a full year goes by, and once you get it in the ground and you've not seen any growth, you've not seen anything, well, then maybe, most likely it didn't make it. But it still could fool you, though, but it's possible that it didn't survive it. But like I say, during the winter, it's going to be like it's dead anyway. So you just got to hang in there and wait till the seasons change to see if it comes up. Now, another interesting point I want to talk about, because if any of you watched my episodes, you know I also am a fairy craft magic practitioner. So I often talk about my spell work and the things that I make and use. And so for a fairy craft magic, you could use the Jack in the Pulpit in like a protection spell or a banishing spell, or even to teach yourself patience, because again, those are kind of the attributes of the Jack in the Pulpit. So for teaching patience, obviously, because I said the plant is very slow. It's slow to grow, it's slow to germinate, it's slow to, it takes forever. So you can actually use that in like a spell that if you're one of these people who are always anxious, you're always nervous, you're always wanting everything now. It's like, and you're stressing yourself out because, things aren't working the way you want as fast. And I admit I have that problem sometimes. And so this would be a good one to use as to making a spell for yourself that would teach you to calm down, take it step by step, that kind of thing. So you could write yourself a spell for that. As far as for banishing, because this plant it's toxic, it's doesn't always give the sign, or doesn't really give that vibration of, go ahead and touch me, love me. It's not one of those deceptive ones. It's one, like I say, that it's intriguing, it's captivating, it gets your attention, it's curious, let me show you another picture here, if I can find one. This little one shows you how little it can be. But again, it's about it would teach you to slow down and appreciate what you've got. Keep working towards what you're doing, but step by step. And then again, for banishing, it would be because the plant, even though it's intriguing, it kind of makes you look at it. It's not one of those where like you look at a camellia or a rose and you go, oh, pretty, and you're grabbing. This one kind of, because of its shaping, it kind of like, just look at me from afar. And so it's kind of like if you use it in a protection spell or a banishing spell rather, it would be like, you're repelling something. So whether it be negativity in your own mind, or maybe there's somebody or something in your life that's causing major trouble and you need to banish it. You need it to leave you alone, get away from you, this kind of thing. Again, this would be a good plant to incorporate into that spell, because it is one of those things that you're kind of, get away. I don't want this anymore. You're destructive to me. You're a problem. And you're eliminating it. You're getting it out. And then as a protection spell, because you do combo, you could do combo, banish, and then do a protection right after. That way, when you banish the item or the person or whatever, hopefully they're not going to come back. So you're going to have that protection in there as well. So do a combo spell if you want to, and the protection part is because it is banishing away that negativity, but also, again, because it's not that plant that's really inviting. It's not one that really draws you in and goes, oh, you got to smell me and look at me and touch me. It's more like, yeah, just admire me from afar. So you can use that element in the protection part of the spell. So that way the negativity or whatever isn't going to come back at you. So again, too, because these plants are toxic, and because most of us probably don't have them nearby. I mean, I couldn't even find a nursery that actually carries the seeds. There may be some, but I couldn't find one, even online. And because, obviously, it is a plant that you don't want around animals and kids. So it is kind of a danger zone there. But same time, you can use the image. So, cut out a picture, take a photograph from something, print one off of online and put it on like a card and put it on your fairy offering table during the spell. If you're an artist, you can do your own artwork and draw one, paint one, whatever, and put it on there. So you can still use the essence of the flower. You don't have to have the actual item. You can use the photo or representation of it, and then you put it on the offering table. It's much safer, it's much easier, it's much cheaper, and you can have that image. And as long as you're using the image and really putting your intention on the image before you do the spell, and then put it on the offering table, you'll still have the essence of the flower even though you're not having the seeds or the actual 3D flower in your hand. You're got the image, and that's most of the time that's all you need. You don't really need the 3D item. So in this case, that would be good not to have the 3D item. You use the image, and you're still adding to the spell that you want to work with, and you can still work with the essence of it. So yeah, something to think about. So yeah, I definitely really thought that this plant is one, because it's funny, I found out about these, oh my gosh, probably, I don't know, 20 years ago maybe. And I never really looked into it. And then I think in the last, excuse me, the last 10 years or whatever, I'd bought this book. And I hadn't even finished reading it. It's not super long. It's very interesting, but it has some good photos. And, excuse me. Yeah, I've been fascinated with that plant. But I hadn't really done any research. So that gives you a little bit of education about the jack and the pulpit. I hope you found that was informative. I hope you liked it. Please like the video if you did. And again, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. It does help me. I do appreciate it very much. And, keep us going, sort of. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. So I hope you'll enjoy it. Enjoy the channel. Please check back with any other videos that you might be interested in. I do want to try to set up some, the playlist, I think. I have one on there for my Face Stone Garden project, and I need to kind of break up the rest of these, I think, into another one. So I am going to try to set those up. Maybe that make it easier for all of you to find stuff. I'm not sure, but we'll try and go from there. So anyway, I do thank you. And if you would like to donate to us, that would be fabulous. I would really, really appreciate it. Again, we're really struggling out here in the U.S. in the high desert, and it's, I don't have an income. This is, I'm trying to make this as my business, and I'm doing the very best I can, and I want to give you as much good videos, content, and information that I can, and still have some fun stuff as well. It's just I'm homebound most of the time, and so it's very hard to get out and go anywhere. No car, no money, you can't go anywhere and do anything. So I'm doing the best I can, and I hope you guys appreciate it, like it, and so please subscribe. That'd be great. And if you'd like to donate, again, you can give us a one-time donation. You can use our PayPal. You can use Ko-fi, which is the address right here. The link will be in the description box below. You can become a member, or you could purchase an item from my shop on the Ko-fi.com page. So, again, please check those out, and I really appreciate it. I thank you so much, because we really need the help. It's desperate at this point. So thank you so much for watching this. I really appreciate it. I don't have my card, but anyway, I really appreciate it. Thank you for spending this time with me. And again, check out the jacks. Just be very careful when you're checking them out. And let's enjoy nature out there a little bit more during these rough times. So thank you. Have a very good day, and we hope to see you in the next one.